Okay, so we're gonna work on our leaf-shaped trinket dish. I have all of my supplies here. I have my clay. I have my wax squares. I'm protecting my work surface. And I have tools. This is my rolling pin, my clay. So I'm going to put my clay down here. And I'm gonna kind of cover this as I roll. I think it'll make it a little bit smoother. If you have wax paper at home, that'll probably be good too. So I have two different shape leaves. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna use yet, but it's nice to have some options. So you'll wanna roll this out. It should be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So, I mean, I'm not good at measuring, or I should say, I don't usually bother to measure. It's not that I can't measure. But if you're at all familiar, that's usually the thickness if you're gonna roll out like sugar cookies. So if you just think of it like that, like how thick you would roll out your cookie dough, then that should give you an idea. And you want it to be uniform thickness. So I think we're almost there. I would say this is maybe a little thinner. This is about the thickness that I would do. Okay. So I wanted to get a big leaf. This is good. I'm gonna include a leaf for you, but I would also recommend, you just walk in your backyard, go for a walk in the park, see if you find a nice leaf. It kind of depends. Like a lot of the leaves that I see, I had to hunt for this one because most of the maple leaves I see right now, I guess it depends on the tree, were like 1/4 of this size. So it was only like this big, which is nice, but if you're gonna make a dish, it's not that big. This one I kind of like too. So I'm gonna include one for you, but also you can think about just finding something that if you like it better. I think I'm gonna go for this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not doing this too precisely, but I'm gonna just cut off the scrap in the area that is not needed, and then I'm gonna try to add it here so that I can stretch out these areas and cover every part of the leaf with clay underneath it, if that makes sense. Let's see. So, just kind of eyeballing it right now. Trying to see how much this would cover, and then I'm gonna roll it together. Trying to cover all my areas. Where else do I have leaves sticking out? So I'm gonna, you know what? And also some here. So I have my tools here. These are for clay. I have a bunch of them here, but if you you could use knives that you have at home. Butter knife or a steak knife. Okay, so I'm going to roll this out again with my added pieces. Just try to incorporate them. I'm just kind of pressing them together and then rolling them. This little guy, I don't remember where this came from, so I guess I'll have to lay it out again and see. So now I'm just gonna kind of roll it, make sure it's a little uniform because it was a little lumpy. So now let's see. I put this down. Okay, it looks like it's almost all covered except for over here. So that's good. Okay. So I'm gonna do this again. I'm just gonna make sure connecting nicely. Okay, so I'm gonna roll this again, smooth it out a little. And I'm not like really pressing, I'm just smoothing. Okay, this is gonna be big. So now I have this here. They're all, looks like they're all covered. Just gonna arrange it. And now what you want to do is again cover. I say cover because then that way your rolling pin isn't really sticking. That just annoys me. Maybe that doesn't annoy other people, but I don't like that. So now what we're doing is we're rolling your leaf to get that nice indentation. Then you will see the outline of the leaf. You will see like all the little veins. It will be pressed into this. So I'm just rolling gently. I'm not really applying too much pressure. Not too much. But you do want it like stuck to your clay. So what I'm doing is pressing. It will get all these little veins pressed in here and give it a nice surface. So now I'm gonna take my tool. You can, I mean, I have special clay tools, but you can use a sewing needle, butter knife, steak knife, whatever you feel is gonna work best. Okay, and now you're just going to kind of trace the outline here. So I'm using this really awesome book. It's called something like 52 Nature Crafts. I will put it in the notes. Let me see if I can see it here. No. And they recommended that we cut at a 90-degree angle as much as possible. I think that prevents like dragging. So yeah, this book, 52, something like 52 Nature Crafts. And there are a lot of great ideas in this book. We own it here in the library. Anyone can check it out. And I've used it for a couple programs, or I'm, using them for ones that I've scheduled for the future. And Tara, if you've ever taken a program with Tara, like Coffee and Canvas or other maker programs, she also used it and found some really great stuff in there. So I'm just I'm like weeding away the excess so that all I'm left is the outline of my leaf. So now I'm just gonna kind of smooth the edges as much as I can. I want to do that before I take the leaf off because I just don't want to like smudge the vein lines or the imprint of the leaf. I feel like once I take the leaf off, that could easily happen. So I'm just kind of smoothing these edges. And remember, this is air dry clay, so the way you let it dry is the way it's gonna turn out. You know, it's you can use a little water if you want to smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to peel back this leaf. And that looks really good. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our bowl and we're gonna lay it on the inside of our bowl. So, grab your sheets. It's hard because this is like 4 pieces of sheets. And then we're gonna lay it in the bowl and center it as best you can. I don't wanna press down on it because I don't want to disrupt the pattern, but it will look like this. So it's here it is inside the bowl. You don't want to lay it like, you know, upside down in the bowl, on the outside of the bowl, because then it will disrupt, you know, the veins and the texture of your thing. So now this is air dry clay, so we're gonna let it set. By the other accounts, it should take 1 to 2 days for this to completely dry, and then you will take that out, and then we'll move on to the next step. See you then. Okay, so we're back. We have our clay. It has dried. So I did this project on a Friday, and it is now Wednesday. So it took longer. They said 1 to 2 days. It took much longer than that. So what I did was, once I could see that this was firm and had its shape, I took it out of the bowl. I kind of peeled this off, and then I let it sit like this for a day. And then when I felt like it was almost all the way, I just gently turned it upside down so that this part could all dry out. But you wanna do that once you know that it's no longer fragile. So now we are going to paint. If you had other paints at home, like acrylic or enamel, you could totally use that too. The book that I used showed watercolor, so I'm gonna do that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like an ombre fall colors, where I'm going to do red, orange, and yellow, and then kind of blend them together. So yes, watercolor is pretty faint, so you'll want to let it dry, do another couple coats if you want. You don't have to, but I would recommend that if you want better coverage. Okay, so this side is still wet, so I'm not going to put it down, but I am going to try to do another coat of this color to make the color more bold. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. And now I'm going to paint some orange, and I'm not going to try to blend the color. I'm going to wait until I have all three colors there, and then I'm going to blend the color as like an overlap. Okay. Okay, just gonna do another coat. Okay, and here's our last color. Okay, so now I'm gonna blend the colors. So now I'm gonna take a little of this and a little of that. Okay, so I'm probably going to keep going and blending it a little bit more. It's almost looking like a tie-dye, but as you can see, if you blend it with a little water, it might make some of the coats pull up, but you know, do it how you like, let it dry, add a little more if you want, you can fuss with it, but I'm really liking the way it's blending and coming out actually. So I'm going to let it dry, I'll say till the end of the day, so for a few hours, although I think it dries pretty quick. Okay, so you can go ahead, if you have that clear acrylic sealing spray, go ahead and use that. You'll probably want to do 2 light coats on each side, and then let it dry completely in a ventilated area because it does smell, but then you'll be all set, and then it will be ready for you. If you use it as a ring dish or something, the colors won't bleed from your paint. So I would say just be really careful because it's thin, it's not baked, so it is a little fragile. And I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you sign up for more. Thanks, see you next time.